Welcome. We're going to cover key facts on the update for ITIL 2011 edition for practitioners. I've got quite an amount of content here. I want to get through it quick. I encourage all of you to reach out to me one-on-one. My email is davep@poltorok.com. That's D-A-V-E, P as in Peter, @poltorok.com. That's P as in Peter, ULTORAK.com. Just like with the transition to V2 to V3, although this is of a lesser nature, we want to make sure that we work with our customers and partners to get up to speed on this new version of 2011. One thing I want to let you know is that this session will be repeated with updated content on the 15th of September. The registration link that you got, you can use the same registration link and pass that along to others if they weren't able to make this session. There's quite a bit of people still, believe it or not, on vacation, etc. So we want to get those as well, and that's the 15th of September at this exact time. Okay, so what are we going to cover? What exactly has changed with ITIL 2011 edition? Lots of changes. We'll go through those. Where can I get some of this information? One thing I want to point out there is if you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see 3 sheets of paper laying on top of each other. That's the attachments or handouts section. A couple of handouts are there. There are others. When will courses be available? You know, when will the exams be available? We'll just answer all these questions. That's what we're going to shoot for to do today. So the intent of the update with 2011 edition was just to clarify stuff. I mean, it was annoying with the 2007 edition of ITIL, and it's important to understand is they've gotten rid of the V. It's not a new version V4. It's the same ITIL. V3 been updated to mostly 95% to clarify things. You know, it was very annoying. You go in, this process would be defined and have these parts, and then it would have objectives. This process, the objectives wouldn't be there, it'd be called something else. It's just messy, and it was like, why can't we have consistency from process to process, the way the books are laid out, the way the processes are laid out, so that we know that they're complete, that they're consistent. Well, that was the intent of the update, for that to happen. You know, what they were going after was a standardized structure, reorganized content, and clarified and aligned terminology. Right? So let's just rationalize this stuff, basically, to make sure that when you go from book to book, to process, it's not different. And that was what the mandate was. If you look at this slide, you'll see that out of scope was no new concepts were to be added. Well, guess what? In grand OGC style, as they did with the V2 to V3, not exactly following the mandate. So 95%, I want you to understand, is following this mandate, but there's another 5% which is new concepts added. So what's new? We've got a strategy management for IT services process. Actually, there was a strategy management in strategy management service strategy before, but it wasn't clear. Some people interpret it as a process, other people didn't. Now it's official. It's a process. BRM, we know that's a process. Why wasn't it an ITIL V3? I don't know. So they've added it. Design coordination. One of the kooky things with the 2007 version ITIL V3 is that you had all these processes in design, but none of them were actually the design process. So they've added that. Change evaluation. Evaluation has been renamed to change evaluation. You want to look carefully at that because it's not just a rename. The actual interpretation of what that process is supposed to do, the outcomes has changed. So you really want to carefully look at that. And then there's this new concept of continual service improvement register. We want to make sure that we know and manage just think about it like a portfolio office for improvements, and you'll get a gist of what that is. So that's the 5% that they added. And you can see that there's what's changed, 26 processes, 4 functions. The thing I want to show you also is that we've updated all our posters to be ITIL 2011 edition. So we've got the old ones, but we have the new ones. If you go to shop.poltorok.com, you can download them all. I think also, let's see if I have the zip file. I can upload it as a handout. Yeah. I'll also, before I exit, I'll also upload them all in a zip format, make it easier for you. One of the things that's up there that's really nice, you know, you remember that you have the horizontal format swirl looking poster. Well, that's updated, but also the ITIL v3 planner has been updated. And that's the one that lists all the outcomes of each of the processes, and it has a little method on it for individuals and teams to go say, okay, if this is the outcome, what could we do this week, this period, whatever, to make our own improvements in these areas. So that's been a very, very valuable piece of collateral for engagements and engaging with customers and general discussions on where problems are, etc. So definitely want to take a look at that and download. Again, these are all available for free download at shop.poltoric.com. You can also order a hard copy, large format posters there as well, and those are for pay. So what's changed? As you can see, 95% is clarified, expand, right? 5% is new processes, rename processes, things like that. So you can see all this clarification and expansion. By expansion, it means where things were omitted. But there's a couple of things where there's some newer things, you know, cloud computing, you know, governance, further clarification. Remember all that stuff about enterprise governance versus corporate governance, etc. That's been clarified a bit. So the bulk of the changes are in service strategy. And that's based on the change register. People, trainers, others, practitioners coming back and saying, hey, this is confusing. And generally the service strategy, it's been re-articulated. None of the core concepts have changed, but they've been re-articulated and in a way that can communicate to mere humans, right? So it was very textbook ready, that book. They've adjusted that. So that's where the bulk of the changes are. The general changes are, hey, let's rationalize the front matter a little bit and get it to be aligned so that from book to book, when you look at the front, it's the same. It's not out of step. It's in structure and content and coverage. One of the big changes here is inputs and outputs across the service lifecycle. That's a nice addition. It was unclear to a lot of our customers, and when we work with them, we actually developed models for processes and also for life cycle phase, life cycle phase. What are the deliverables, not just the activities in the life cycle phase? What comes out of this that feeds into other phases? Well, they've added that, and that's good stuff. And that's why I recommend using the new 2011 edition books. They're out. You can buy them on our store or wherever else, because they're basically the old books, but with some small exception, rationalized to be cleaner, more complete, etc. So org structures, you know, there was some concern over, is this supposed to be suggestive, or is this like, how am I supposed to do it? No, it's supposed to be examples. That's clarified. So you'll see here, it's a lot of clarification. I'm not going to go over these in detail for you. We also already mentioned that service strategy, the bulk of the updates are there. BRM's covered there. This handout you can download and read it, peruse. Trying to think what I want to emphasize here. Let's just get through. You can read these at your leisure. I'm not going to bore you with them. There's about 3 slides per as to what's changed, and there's a handout as well. Let's get on to the impact on the rest of things. Hang on a sec. Okay, 2011 edition, what's changed? There are 55 new terms added to the glossary. Part of that reflects the fact that there was terms used in the book that weren't in the glossary. It's not like they've invented 55 new terms. It's, you know, hey, you're using this over and over, internal versus external service. Where is it in the glossary? 30 terms have been deleted. Some of that is part of where 2 things like product manager and service owner were used interchangeably. You know, they rationalize that down, therefore the term gets deleted. As far as the syllabi, all of the syllabi have been updated. That's been in proportion to the amount of updates that were performed on the publications. So the biggest changes are in service strategy, because that's the most revised book. There's syllabus change documents that have been published that detail the differences between 4.5 and 4.x and 5.x, which is basically between the ITIL V3 2011 edition, 2007 edition, and the 2011 edition.